I'm glad you're with us. She is Dr. Karen Murray. She joins us here this morning on Indiana in the Morning, and she is the Provost and Executive Vice President of Tarleton State University, which is in Texas, in the Dallas area, and kind enough to join us to talk about something we've been wondering about here with our local university, Indiana University of Pennsylvania. Does COVID and the changes that it has brought on to colleges in so many, many ways, does it affect the college admissions processes, and could those changes be permanent? And so we wanted to explore that topic with you this morning. And I guess that's the easiest way to toss that question out to you, is just the way I framed it. Is this going to be something permanent, the way that colleges admit students now?
Well, I certainly hope so, to the extent that it results in better policies and procedures and practices that help us lower barriers to admission and actually improve our prediction of student success. I do hope that we permanently adopt some of these changes that we've made.
Well, some of those changes involve some very long-held traditions, and well, let's start with the SATs and the ACTs. Those used to be the way that everybody got into college, didn't they?
It was certainly one of the standard things that we looked at. It was a mechanism that we had of calibrating across high schools, across geography and regions, that gave us just another piece of information in addition to their high school class rank and high school GPA. But we've known for quite some time that those weren't one of the very best predictors. And so as those have not been available to us, we have scrambled around, as we have with many other things during COVID, to try to find better predictors that we could use to help make up for that.
My son is a senior graduating here in May, and he is going to become a teacher, and he's been training for that. One of the concerns that some teachers at some of our area school districts have said is, what we end up doing is preparing only for standardized tests and basically teaching our students how to pass an SAT or an ACT, and that isn't really about the gaining of knowledge and furthering of your education, is it?
Well, that's absolutely correct. And the extent to which different high schools with different resources can provide that to students varies greatly. And so you may have some high schools that focus a lot on that or are able to support their students in that endeavor, but you have others who can't. And so you end up with a lot of differential impact out there based on who has the resources to train their students to do that. And then it ends up really being not a very accurate predictor for us.
So what are some better predictors of student success that are in place at colleges that are moving forward and moving beyond ACTs and SATs?
There are a couple of things. One of the things that we're focusing on is a more holistic review of the students' work and activities during high schools, having them build portfolios that we can examine that look at their accomplishments, their level of engagement in their high school education, and various activities that they've been involved in. And so looking at that a little more holistically, weighing all those different things as a part of the admissions decision is important. Another alternative is a summer bridge program where you just bring students in, put them through some different types of courses as a preliminary indicator and actually use their performance in your environment as an admission criteria.
We're talking with Dr. Karen R. Murray, who is the Provost and Executive Vice President of Tarleton State University in Texas. This morning, our conversation brought to you by Marcus and Mack, a law firm representing injured people. Are high schools, guidance counselors, principals, teachers, are they embracing the new way of doing things?
They are, but just like us, it's going to take them some time to develop and then encourage their students to build these portfolios. It's not been something that all high schools have actually helped their students learn to adopt those practices of collecting their work and building their portfolios. And so it's going to take time, but I think they all believe that it's probably a better metric for us to use.
Education is in crisis here in Pennsylvania right now, particularly what we know here in Pennsylvania is the state system of higher education, which is a system of schools that are state-owned universities designed specifically to offer middle-income and low-income families college education. And they are finding it very, very difficult to stay afloat as they try to keep each other alive. And it's really eating away at the way that schools can be run here in Pennsylvania. Is that something that is systemic across the United States?
Well, I think there's a considerable level of that. We have not experienced that during this period of time. That's the exact type of university we are. We're a regional university that serves first-generation college students to a large extent. But we've experienced an actual growth in our enrollment. Part of it may be good geography, sitting here so close to Fort Worth and Dallas, but so I don't think it's across the board, not every institution, but certainly we've seen our fair share of it here in Texas.
Does it seem as if we're at a point where they use the term tipping point or sea change, that the way that we educate students beyond high school is about to go through a major change, something that has been coming for a while and is finally here?
Well, it is, and certainly this particular catastrophic event has brought about things that we saw coming for a long time. They were happening gradually. We were adopting new learning technologies. We were looking at ways that faculty could collaborate without actually having to come into an office and sit in workspaces. And so these types of things were going on, but they were happening very gradually, more evolving slowly over time. An event like this causes you to accelerate that forward a couple of decades, and to the extent that some of those are highly successful, this will cause us to adopt those a little sooner rather than later.
Shared resources among universities really does open up, though, doesn't it? The opportunity for a student to stay in the community in which he or she was raised and actually get a degree from a university that is elsewhere in the state or even across state lines.
It does. Learning technologies really support place-bound learners to the extent we were unable to do so before.
So the future, as we struggle with it here in Pennsylvania and other states do as well, the future of secondary or post-secondary education is not as bleak, perhaps, as we might think. There is a pretty bright future still, you believe?
Absolutely, absolutely. It'll help us reach students we were unable to reach before, and that will then change the trajectory of their lives and the lives of their families. That's a good thing.
Yes, absolutely it is. Dr. Karen R. Murray from Tarleton State University in Texas. Thank you so much for spending some time with us this morning. I appreciate that.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Have a wonderful day.
Bye-bye.
It is the voice of Indiana County, WCCS 101.1 FM and AM 1160 AM.